Hello, electric bike enthusiasts. Today I'm going to compare and contrast the Lectric bike with the, I think you say Rattan or Rattan bike. I don't exactly know how to pronounce it. We had bought one of each type to see which one we liked better. Each has benefits and drawbacks, but I'll walk through my thoughts more from a rideability standpoint. I'm not going to get into all the different component comparisons. There's plenty of other videos for that. But just an impression of how they rode and some of the other different big features that I either like or dislike. I think the first thing you really notice when setting these bikes next to each other is that one is certainly taller than the other. The handlebars are adjustable, but these handlebars are all the way down, as are these on the Lectric, and you can see that the Rattan, that's how I'm going to say it, sits much higher, the handlebars. I think some of that's due to the longer fork, but it definitely sits higher. You can see here how much higher it sits than the Lectric. The one thing I did notice when I drove both of these is that the Lectric bike feels a little more stable at higher speeds than the Rattan. I think it's because of the higher post here, and when you turn, of course, that's going to sway, and it just doesn't feel quite as stable. But the benefit to the Rattan are these larger tires. They're 4-inch tires versus 3-inch tires. So over the grass, I noticed it had a softer feel with those larger tires than the Lectric. But at higher speeds, particularly with that high handlebar, it felt just a little less stable. The geometry on the post is about the same, but I think it's just because of the higher center of gravity or the higher pivot point, perhaps, without getting into all the geometry. But regardless of the reason, it just did not feel as stable at the higher speeds. They both have throttles, so these features are fairly similar. I did notice that on the Lectric, when you put it in the power assist number 1, you have the full range of throttle motion all the way up to 20 miles an hour. On the Rattan, it staggers or stair steps up, so you go from power assist 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, gives you more and more throttle speed, which I think in many ways is a bit of a nice feature, but that's probably personal preference. So they're set up a little different in that regard. The folding mechanism is very similar. The battery placement obviously is different. And then the components in the back, you got a rack here. You have a seat that you could remove and put a rack. Got a little tear in the seat, but that's our fault. That's not the fault of the bike. So in general, I think they're both good bikes. You can see that the Lectric bike folds up very nicely into this is a Husky 45-gallon container. I have the bike wheels on the same end as the tote wheels, and to make it sit a little higher in the tote, I put a board in the bottom. That way it allows it to sit up a little higher so it doesn't dig into the side, and it works really well. You can see it's very stable in there too. So the Rattan also fits in this tote, so they both will fit. But again, there's a profile view of how much higher the Rattan sits than the Lectric. So I think for my wife, who's a little shorter, it's a little easier to get on this, but they're both very easy. But the biggest change is those handlebars, as low as they go. If you are short, your hands are going to be up high, and you may or may not like that. In terms of overall quality, they both seem like they're quality bikes. So I don't see a whole lot of difference there. I do like those 4-inch wheels versus the 3. Like I said, it gave it a little softer cushion. Anyway, this might help. I hope it does in making a decision as to which bike you would like to purchase. I don't know about the purchase price. I paid $1,000, $999 for the Lectric, and I think it was a couple hundred more for the Rattan. I don't remember exactly. You'll have to look that up online.